Hey y'all, I'm Courtney Sharea. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to part 2 of my career journey. In today's video, I'll be sharing the careers that I've had in healthcare administration and in health information management, along with the salaries. As many of you know, I left Humana back in December of 2021, so I'll also be sharing my new job title and the new company that I'm working with. Disclaimer. I'm sharing salaries along with the job titles that I had to give you an idea of what these roles pay. If you're interested in pursuing similar positions to the ones I had, you now have some information on salaries. As always, do further research to learn more about salaries of roles you're interested in. That way you'll be prepared to negotiate your salary when a job offer is extended. Keep in mind that I am in Charleston, South Carolina, and salaries differ by city and state. If you haven't watched part 1 of my career journey video, make sure to go back and watch part 1 before you watch part 2. Before we get started with part 2 of my career journey, please go ahead and subscribe, like this video, and leave me a comment. Enjoy! Fast forward back. So now we're going to the interview. We're interviewing at the surgical practice, Ryan's wife's surgical practice, where she co-owns it with another female surgeon. So I didn't know anything about the medical field. Mind you, I still hadn't gone back to school yet now. So I get in the interview and y'all, I am like freaking out nervous because I don't have any healthcare administration experience. But I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go in, see what happens. During the interview, I got the surgeons talking about their pain points. My bad, y'all, my battery died. Okay, so I know I was talking about leveraging transferable skills. So I got the surgeons talking about their pain points, and at this time, I realized that if I could get them talking about their pain points and the issues that they were having in their surgical practice, then I could use some of my experience and leverage my transferable skills since I did not have any experience in healthcare administration. During the interview, we did review financial statements, which is very rare. Like typically business owners are not going to hand you their financial statement, their P&L, and say, hey, read this, tell me what you think, right? But they did. They put me on the spot, and because I had taken accounting classes and because Ryan had pushed me to learn so much about the financials at Intrexon, I was able to read the P&L statement. I was able to look at their financial statements, the balance sheet, all of that, and have a conversation with them about what I saw and the areas that we could improve. So 3 days later, actually the day that we were scheduled to close on our house, we were literally in the car, Q and I were in the car, headed to the attorney's office to close on our first house. I got a text message from Ryan's wife, and she offered me the job via text message. And she offered me $45,000. And at the time, I did not negotiate my salary, y'all. I didn't know better, okay? I just knew I needed a job because I had a house that I was about to buy, like literally on my way to go buy this damn house, and I had a mortgage that I had to pay, and that $45,000 a year was gonna help me pay my mortgage, even though at the time it was about $7,000 less than what I was currently making because I had gotten a raise at Intrexon, so I was making around $52,000 a year. So I was like, okay, $45,000 is better than no dollars. So I accepted the job, and I have my resume here just to kind of help me remember some of the things that I was responsible for because, again, long time ago, I don't remember the details of all that I was responsible for. So as a practice administrator, I was responsible for the day-to-day operations of the surgical practice. I was responsible for revenue cycle management, accounting, marketing, and strategic planning, and the electronic health record system. I was responsible for knowing that thing in and out, okay, because I also had to train all of our staff on how to use it. I was able to learn how to negotiate payer contracts, and with that I was able to increase our revenue just based on negotiating those payer contracts by 18%. I managed a staff of about 17 people. Within my first 3 months of working at the practice, I was able to bring the practice out of the red and into the black. So because I was able to turn the business around so quickly, I got a couple $1,000s in bonuses within my first 6 months. So that was really nice. And the doctors immediately saw my value and they put me on a profit sharing bonus plan. So I started out making $45,000 and within 6 months, I was eligible for profit sharing. This is something new that they had implemented just because, you know, like they were flourishing. They were able to see the fruits of their labor. And let me tell you, these two women, they are phenomenal, okay? Phenomenal women surgeons. And I learned so much from them during the 4.5 years that I ran their practice. But at the end of my time running their practice, I was making on average about $77,000 per year. So still with that like $45,000 base salary. And then I was making about $30,000 to $40,000 a year in bonuses. But listen, now that I know what I know, my base salary should have been about $70,000 and that profit sharing should have brought it up further from there. But again, I didn't know no better back then, and I was extremely happy to be making on average about $77,000, $80,000 a year, because, you know, the most I had made prior to that was $50,000. You're talking about a person who was making $12, $14, $15 an hour going to making $50,000 and then on average $80,000. I was happy, okay? But when you know better, you do better. So after about 4.5 years at the practice, I realized that it was time for me to move on. I should have looked back at the dates to tell y'all specific dates, but I don't remember. But at some point during my 4.5 years of managing the practice, I finished my undergrad degree at the College of Charleston. Thank you, Jesus. And then I decided to pursue a dual master's degree. I knew that I wanted more in the healthcare administration space, but I didn't know what that looked like. And I had learned so much about healthcare administration, healthcare information management, healthcare information technology. I had learned so much about all of these different things just by being a member of the Medical Group Management Association that I was like, oh my gosh, like there are so many options. Like I can go in so many different directions. But I wasn't exactly sure how to get there, you know? I just knew at the time it was time for me to leave the surgical practice and move on to the next thing. So the opportunity presented itself for me to help 5 surgeons open up an ambulatory surgery center. So I left the surgical practice and then I went on to help those surgeons. And again, I got to look at my resume because this was several years ago. This was back in 2017 when I went to go and become the business manager at Center for Advanced Surgery. So there, because this was a brand new surgery center, as a business manager, I designed, implemented, and managed standard operating procedures to align operations with best practices to meet regulatory requirements and to improve patient services. I had to research market utilization statistics to forecast ASC, Ambulatory Surgery Center, performance. Let's see, I had to communicate the financial goals, the changes in any regulatory compliance. So I had to stay on top of industry updates for ambulatory surgery centers, charge reconciliation, system workflows. I was responsible for the assessment of financial reporting. So profit and loss statements, balance sheet, statement of cash flow. So all of that under the financial reporting, cost saving analysis. And I provided leadership training and ongoing support to promote a successful work environment for administrative and clinical team of 26 employees. So as a business manager, I made $65,000 a year. Yes, that's less than what I was making when I was running the surgical practice, but it was strategic on my behalf. I knew that I needed a specific skill set to help catapult me into my next career opportunity, which I knew that I wanted to get into revenue cycle management consulting or in revenue cycle account management, but I needed more experience with a larger provider group, right? So at the surgical practice, I was only managing 2 surgeons, right? And at the surgery center, I was managing the revenue cycle for not only the 5 surgeon owners, but basically all of the surgeons who were doing surgeries at the surgery center. So that expanded my experience to work with a larger data set when it came to revenue cycle, to make my skill set more desirable, to help me, one, get into revenue cycle, and two, get into corporate America, because y'all, I wanted to be in corporate America. That was my goal. So it was very strategic on my behalf to take a little less money in order to gain the skill set so that I could go where I wanted to go. So after about a year at the surgery center, I decided that it was time to go. So the opportunity presented itself for me to become a client manager at Change Healthcare. And my exact title was Client Manager, Physician Revenue Cycle. Side note, y'all, these corporate America job titles are getting out of hand, okay? Like, a lot of times the titles don't have nothing to do with what you're actually doing, or they're so ambiguous. It's like all of these words and you don't really understand what the person's job function is. One thing I wish corporate America would do is just make the job title simple so people would know what you do. Like, I think revenue cycle account manager would be a better descriptor than client manager hyphen physician revenue cycle. Like, anyways, so I got the job at Change Healthcare, which is a healthcare technology company, as a client manager. So as a client manager, this was my first job as an individual contributor, meaning I wasn't responsible to manage a team of people. And I thought I was going to miss managing people, but y'all, please let me tell you, I did not miss managing people at all. Like, I was so happy when I got this job and I realized, like, I don't got to manage a team. I'm just responsible for myself, my book of business. Oh, sorry, I kicked the camera. I'm just responsible for myself and my book of business. All right, so let me tell y'all what I did as a client manager, physician revenue cycle at Change Healthcare. I evaluated financial performance and billing effectiveness for independent pathology clients by using key performance indicators and benchmarking data to identify areas of opportunity to increase productivity and profitability to meet performance goals. And so that was fun, building relationships with clients, building relationships internally with those cross-functional teams and the leaders of those cross-functional teams. To me, I really enjoyed that. And so that's basically what I did as a client manager at Change Healthcare. My base salary at Change Healthcare was $87,000, and I had an annual bonus of 10% of my base salary. Oh, and while I was at Change Healthcare, I finished my dual master's degree program. And so I got my master's in business administration and my master's in healthcare administration. Thank you, Jesus. Won't he do it? And during all that time, Cameron's health was extremely stable. He probably was only admitted in the hospital from 2011 to 2018, maybe like 2 times. So his health was doing great. He was thriving as a student. He was thriving as an athlete. And listen, God is good, y'all. After about 2 years at Change Healthcare, I knew that I was ready for something different. I was ready to possibly get back into leadership. I wasn't 100% sure, but I knew that I wanted something different. But I knew that I did not want to get back into practice management. So I went into LinkedIn and I changed my status on LinkedIn to open to work, which lets recruiters know that you are open to new job opportunities. And I had several recruiters reach out to me just by changing my status. And I would go on interviews. I went on several interviews, and actually this was like at the beginning of the pandemic when I changed my status to open to work. So I wasn't actually like going on interviews. I was having Zoom interviews, and I probably had like, I don't know, something like 10 interviews, but those jobs weren't what I was looking for. So a lot of times I would pass. And then around September of 2020, I had 3 job offers on the table that I was extremely interested in. However, I couldn't choose all 3, right? So I had to kind of like figure out which one I wanted. So one of the jobs was for a director of revenue cycle for a home health system that had recently expanded and purchased like 20 home health organizations across the Southeast. And let me tell you, the initial offer for that job was like $90,000 plus a 15% annual bonus, also like a cell phone stipend. But I was like, you know what? That's not enough money. I want $105,000. And they agreed to $105,000 with the $15,000, with the 15% annual bonus. Basically, they gave me everything I wanted, but my heart wasn't in it. I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is it. So I put them on pause. I was like, yeah, can I have like 2 weeks to figure this out? They were like, yes, sure. We really want you. Whatever we have to do, let us know. The next offer on the table was a director of revenue cycle role for a large hospital system. And they were offering like $85,000 with only an 8% annual bonus. They did not give a cell phone stipend. There wasn't any travel because the hospital was right here in Charleston, South Carolina. And that one was just a no, because first and foremost, it was just not enough money, and it wasn't exciting. Like, I wanted something a little more exciting, you know? After the first offer, I just turned it down. Like, it wasn't even worth me going back and forth with them because I didn't really want the job after I thought about it. And then the third offer was for a key account manager position at a startup within Humana. And this position seemed extremely intriguing to me because, one, it's a startup within this big, huge health insurance company. I had never worked for a health insurance company before. And I was like, okay, I want to see what the health insurance side is like, or the dark side is what some people would call it. And so even though it was only $90,000 a year, with only a 10% annual bonus, I was like, let me see, because it's going to allow me to open myself up to learn so much about the health insurance industry. And I feel like I'll be able to take this knowledge and this new skill set that I'm going to have and apply it to my future. So I turned down the director of revenue cycle position. So basically I turned down 2 director level positions to take a key account manager position. Again, corporate America with these job titles. But let me tell you what I did as a key account manager, and I was making $90,000 with a 10% annual bonus. Before I tell you what I did as a key account manager, I do want to say this. I was only a key account manager for about 3 months before I became a lead key account manager. And here's what happened. When I did an assessment of what my responsibilities were going to be and were, I went to my director and I said, you know what? I don't think that my responsibilities are that of a key account manager. I think what I'm doing is more in line with a lead key account manager. And so I think I should be compensated appropriately. And the associate director agreed with me, and I got like a $30,000 raise just by me going and justifying my responsibilities and showing them how it aligned with a higher level title and more pay. You know how I always tell y'all that y'all are worth it and you have to ask for more? Yeah, always ask for more, okay? And when you ask for more, make sure you take all of your receipts with you to justify why you are worth more, okay? All right, so as a lead key account manager, I was responsible for expanding and developing a scope of business through development and management of relationships with large, complex, highly visible, and strategically important key healthcare organizations who were in a value-based agreement. So what that means is I established relationships with key organizations that had a value-based agreement with Humana. I built those relationships with those organizations, and if there were ever any issues with the plan that I worked for, so it was called Author by Humana, then those basically I worked with like the executive leadership team. So if they identified any issues with Author by Humana, I would be their main point of contact. So if there was like onesie twosie issues, those things would not be sent up to me, okay? But when they had large issues that impacted their bottom line, so let's say they were expecting to receive $200,000 in reimbursements from Author by Humana in a month, and they didn't receive any of their reimbursements because maybe we denied all of their claims, or maybe because for some reason our system was down and we didn't process those claims, then someone in executive leadership is going to identify and realize like, hey, where's our money? What's going on? And then they would say, okay, let me call Courtney and let her know what's going on. And, you know, then Courtney will be able to help us fix it. That's what I did at Humana. So after about a year at Humana, I realized it was time for me to move on to the next thing. You know, it was just time for me to get back into revenue cycle management because I really missed revenue cycle. And so I went back to LinkedIn and I changed my status to open to work. And from there, recruiters started contacting me again, and I had multiple interviews. And one of the interviews that I had was with Blue Tree, a Tegria company, for a senior revenue cycle consultant. So I had about 6 interviews with this company, y'all. 6 interviews. So initially we started out with me interviewing for a senior level consulting role. And as the interviews progressed, I realized that I was not ready for a senior consulting role. One, because I didn't want to be responsible for a team. I really like being an individual contributor. I don't really want to manage people right now in my career, mainly because I'm doing this content creator thing. And as an individual contributor, it gives me more time to create content. You know, I work anywhere from 40 to 50 hours a week. I don't have all of this extra stress and extra things, and I don't have to be responsible for nobody except for my damn self and my own work, okay? And by the 6th interview, that was very clear to me, like, girl, one, you've never been a consultant before, so it's not a good idea for you to take on all of the responsibilities of a senior consultant, which means that you are going to be responsible for all of these projects. Plus, you're going to be responsible for all of the people who are a part of the team for this project. And you're trying to do this content creator thing, right? So by the 6th interview, I was like, yeah, let's take this down a couple notches. And the executive director, he was like, okay, I agree. We actually both like kind of came to that decision in the 6th interview. So here we are. I am now a revenue cycle consultant on the revenue cycle transformation team at Tegria. And y'all, I've been on board for just about a month. And when I tell you, I am so happy and so excited to be at Tegria. I am working on a project that is like right up my alley. I can't, of course, give you details because I signed a non-disclosure agreement, but just know that I am doing revenue cycle consulting, and every 6 months or so I'll be working on a new project. I will be able to learn so much more about revenue cycle from a consulting standpoint. Tegria does have a division where they really focus on EMR consulting, and so I get to work with a team of people who truly understand the infrastructure of EMR systems, not on a small practice management scale, but on a very large enterprise scale. And so I've learned so much just about EMRs and the infrastructure and how they're built and how they're able to accommodate a large amount of data from multiple different locations, different states, and all of these amazing things. And so I'm just really happy to be where I am right now as a consultant at Tegria. Although I'm a huge proponent of salary transparency, I'm not going to tell y'all the details of my current salary with Tegria as a consultant, but I will give you an idea. So y'all know what I was making at Humana, because I told y'all what I started out with, and then I told y'all that I got a huge pay raise. And just know that what I'm currently making at Tegria is a lot more than what I was making at Humana, and I'm extremely happy where I am as an associate consultant at Tegria. And that's it. That's my career journey, y'all. I know this was a very long video, but I wanted to share with y'all the highs and the lows, because a lot of times we hear people talk about their careers and you just see where they are now. Like, you don't get to see or hear where they came from, or you don't get to see or hear all of the trials and tribulations that they went through to get where they are. And I am by no means where I want to be in my career, but I'm very proud that I am where I am. I didn't finish college as as a traditional student. I didn't finish my master's degree as a traditional student. I didn't go straight into healthcare administration straight out of college from an internship or from a fellowship. My journey to get to where I am, it was not a straight path. And I just wanted to share all of that with you because you can do whatever you put your mind to. And if you are in a very hard space in life, just know that while it might seem hard right now, it's not gonna always be hard, okay? You just have to stay prayed up. You have to stay faithful. And if you don't believe in God, you just have to manifest the life that you want. If you do believe in God, still manifest the life that you want, okay? Because I feel like if you can believe it and you can see it, you can achieve it. And you just have to set it in your mind, whatever it is that you want, go after it, okay? So while you're praying, while you're manifesting, you got to take the steps towards what it is that you want, okay? Because it's not going to just come to you and fall on your lap. Because here's the thing, when things come to you and they fall right in your lap and you're not ready for it, you're going to fumble it, period. Okay, so some of the things that you may be going through right now that are extremely challenging, that are extremely hard, and you feel like there's no way out, you're going through those things for a reason, okay? Because it's building character, it's building your strength, it is building you and preparing you for that thing that you want. And I believe it, and I hope that you believe it as much as I believe that for you. All right, I'm gonna stop talking now because y'all already know how I can go. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like this video, leave me a comment. If there is another video that you want me to do to expound on any of the things that I talked to you about during this long ass video, please let me know in the comments and I will make a video about it. Again, if you have not watched the first episode of Career Conversations with Courtney, where I interviewed Dr. Ryan Fiorini, please make sure to go and watch that next. The link will be down below. All right, thank y'all so much for all of your time, for all of your love, and for all of your support. Y'all already know how I feel about y'all. I appreciate y'all so much and I love y'all so much. So I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.